Welcome back, goal setters and dream builders. Before we begin, I want to make this clear. If you have $500,000 cash sitting in your bank account, this video is not for you. This message is not for you. I will ask you to skip it and just move on. Because this message is for you who have little or zero cash, but you are thinking how to use the bank's money to build your own legacy. Because today we're talking about leverage, using other people's money to build your own legacy. Now, let me ask you a question. Would you rather stay comfortable and broke, or would you like to learn how to use other people's money to build your own future? Because your choices are simple. You either rent forever or you own your own asset, own a house. Whatever decision, whatever choice you make, one of these two choices pays you back. Most people think I need money to make money, but that is not true. Why? Because banks allows you to manage a large amount of money with little down payment. So for example, bank will allow you to control or manage a 500,000 property with as little as 25,000K or 50,000K as down payment. And that is called leverage. And rich people don't avoid leverage. Actually, poor people avoid leverage. Rich people, what they do, they master it and they love it. Why? Because leverage allows you to grow faster, own more, and build equity using other people's money. So what I'm here to teach you is to understand how it works and how rich people use it, so you can also use it on your own for your own advantage. People say renting is cheap. But like I said before, renting is cheap only in the short term, but it gets expensive over time. Let's verify this using an example. Let's say you rent a house for $1,500 a month times 12, that's $18,000 a year, times 5, that is $90,000. If you are renting, that is $90,000 gone, just like that. No return, no interest, no profit. Let's now compare this to owning a house. Same amount, so your friend or your neighbor is paying also the same amount, $1,500 a month times 12, that equals to $18,000 times 5 equals to $90,000 in 5 years. If you are paying down your mortgage, so part of this pays interest and part of it pays down the loan balance, which builds you your equity. So either way, even if the interests are high or interest rate is high, you still pay yourself. You pay yourself back. Let's say you might end up making like $30,000 in 5 years. You might end up actually even making $40,000 in the year. But now let's compare these two examples just to see which one is expensive. You rent the same amount of money, $1,500 per month for 5 years, assuming like the rent doesn't increase, which is likely not possible, right? But let's assume that for 5 years, that is 90,000 gone, and you gain nothing. You are renting, remember? And your friend is paying a mortgage for the same amount of money, $90,000. The end of the day, let's say they get 30,000. It could be even more back in equity. So which one is expensive? Which one is cheap? Leave your answer in the comment. Let's discuss this and see. Let's say you buy a house for, or a house worthy $500,000. You put down 50,000 K. And let's assume it grows 4%. It is possible to grow 5% or even 6%. But let us not just exaggerate. Let's use 4% only. If it grows 4%, that is 20,000 K. So you invested 50,000 K, and in 1 year, you made a profit of 20,000 K. Because you put down 50,000 to buy a 500,000 house. In 1 year, it grew 4% and you made 4% out of it. And that is 40% return. Now, try putting 50,000 K in a high interest bank account. Tell me how much you get in 1 year. Maybe you might get like 500 if you are lucky. This to show you how real estate powerful is. Real estate multiplies your money, multiplies your investment. How do this system work? Banks don't give you just money randomly like that. No, if I tell you that, I will be lying to you. But banks invest in people with stable income, people with discipline. Why? Because banks know how strong real estate is. And when the bank lends you money, the bank is betting on you. But the question is, are you betting on yourself? Now here I want us to be really honest. Most people say, I cannot afford a house. But somehow, they afford to rent a house for $1,000. They afford to contribute to friends' birthdays, celebration, maybe whatever amount is. They afford to contribute to friends' family weddings. They afford to purchase, make payments, Amazon, shopping, whatever shop you go to. They afford to do this. So you are already making payments, but not toward your future, which is supposed to be your priority in reality. If you still believe that renting is cheap, let's talk about control. Because when you rent, you have no control over your living situation, your living environment. You have no stability. You can be evicted anytime. And remember, rent increases every year for sure. And you have no long-term control over your living situation. You move every year or maybe every 2 years. That's the negative side of renting. When you own, on the other hand, you build your stability. You have control over your living situation, and you have a long-term plan because you have an investment working for you. And you have a financial growth over time. And remember, ownership is not just about financial, it is psychological too, because there is that peace of mind that comes with ownership. Let's talk about the power and the risk of leveraging. Leveraging is very powerful. when used wisely. That means you don't overborrow. Don't overstretch yourself. Don't ignore your budget. Meaning that you buy what you can sustain. You plan for long term and you think like an investor. Now, let me simplify what we just said now. Because poor mindset says, I will wait until I have enough money to buy a house. Rich mindset says, I will use access to money to build my own future. That is the difference. You don't need to be rich to start. All you need is strategy. You need discipline. You need awareness. And I'm giving you awareness. Really, don't ignore this video. Watch it, rewatch it to understand how rich people use other people's money to be rich, more rich. So, if this message opened your mind, somehow, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Because here at Coachruty, we talk about financial freedom, talk about wealth psychology, we talk about life building. Not just how to make money, but how to build a life that you love living. Thank you.